Okay? So you want to buy a private jet courier service. You want to look at the tarmac at 3 in the morning, watching a modified Learjet swallow pallets of time-critical automotive components, knowing your fleet is the only thing keeping a billion-dollar assembly line from grinding to a halt. It is a world of midnight departures, high-stakes logistics, and the intoxicating premium of absolute urgency. You imagine the predictable rhythm of corporate panic translating directly into high-margin invoices, the sleek lines of an expensive aircraft operating as a pure engine of wealth generation, and the satisfaction of dominating a highly specialized niche where competition is sparse and desperate clients pay whatever it takes to conquer time. Here's what the listing doesn't show you. That's not a hypothetical. It is the lived reality of an industry where you are constantly trading depreciating aluminum for unforgiving contractual liabilities, navigating asymmetric information blocks, and praying that a single mechanical failure doesn't wipe out an entire quarter of operating cash flow. Before we look under the hood of this asset class, what do you think is the hardest part of managing a high-priority aviation business? Is it the pilot shortage, the fuel volatility, or the regulatory headaches? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What the private jet courier industry illustrates at its core is a fundamental misunderstanding of luxury hardware. A standard private charter company sells comfort and status to executives who value their time, but an aviation courier service strips away the leather seats and the mahogany cabinetry to sell pure velocity to desperate corporate procurement departments. It is a forensic exercise in asset utilization, where your revenue is determined entirely by how efficiently you can match a volatile demand signal with a rigid, high-cost supply infrastructure. The casual observer looks at an aircraft and sees an instrument of prestige. The forensic accountant looks at the exact same fuselage and sees a ticking clock of maintenance reserves, depreciating engine cycles, and a fixed structural overhead that demands continuous cash inflows just to achieve a baseline state of break-even liquidity. Let's do the math on the cost of entry. To even participate in this market, you need a Part 135 air carrier certificate, a regulatory hurdle that aviation attorney Dr. Jonathan Vance notes can take anywhere from 12 to 24 months to secure from the Federal Aviation Administration. You are not simply buying a single aircraft. You are acquiring a massive, highly regulated operational ecosystem that requires a full suite of compliance personnel. You must legally employ a director of operations, a director of maintenance, and a chief pilot, 3 mandatory roles whose combined salaries will easily cost you $450,000 annually before a single flight hour is logged. A used cargo-converted Falcon 20 or Learjet 35 will cost you between $1.5 million and $3 million upfront. This is the entry fee, the bare minimum required to sit at a table where the chips are made of jet fuel, mandatory safety audits, and crushing insurance premiums. Once the aircraft is in your hangar, the real capital expenditures begin. Avionics upgrades to meet modern global airspace mandates can easily consume $150,000 per airframe, and the mandatory heavy maintenance inspections, known in the industry as a C-check, roll around every few thousand flight hours, commanding a baseline price tag of $250,000. This is the structural problem at the heart of aviation logistics. Your capital is locked up in an asset that depreciates every time the clock ticks, regardless of whether it is flying a high-yield medical payload or sitting idle on a freezing ramp in Ohio. You must also establish a dedicated parts inventory, maintaining a warehouse of rotables, starter generators, main gear tires, and hydraulic pumps, because when a plane goes down on a mission, waiting 3 days for an external supplier means your contract is terminated and your reputation is permanently erased from the industry logistics directories. Now, let's talk about the operating economics and the revenue model. You make your money on the spread between the charter rate you charge the client and the direct operating costs of the flight. For an ad hoc emergency freight mission, a hotshot courier can charge upwards of $4,500 per flight hour. The logic seems airtight. If your direct operating cost is $2,200 an hour, you are pocketing a massive margin on every trip. The honest answer is that this margin is a mirage. Dr. Aris Sintetos, a leading researcher in supply chain forecasting, has highlighted that emergency logistics demand is inherently stochastic, volatile, and entirely unpredictable. You cannot plan a reliable schedule around a factory breakdown, a sudden manufacturing defect, or a critical organ transplant. You can only sit in the dark and wait for the phone to ring. If your aircraft flies 50 hours a month, you are highly profitable. If it flies 10 hours because the automotive sector is having a quiet quarter, the fixed costs of hull insurance, hangar rent, crew training cycles, and subscription fees for international navigation charts will quietly suffocate your cash flow. This is not a standard business model where demand can be stimulated through aggressive marketing. You are entirely dependent on the structural failures of other industries, making your revenue stream fundamentally reactive and agonizingly choppy. This brings us to the operating costs breakdown, and specifically, the silent killer of aviation balance sheets, the deadhead leg. Unlike a commercial airline that moves passengers from hub to hub in a continuous loop, a private courier jet is typically hired to move cargo from point A to point B. Once the cargo is delivered at point B, the plane is on the wrong side of the country. You must fly that aircraft back to your base empty, a phenomenon known as a deadhead flight. You are burning 200 gallons of jet fuel per hour, paying your crew, and putting irreplaceable cycles on your engines, all for zero revenue. Aviation economist Dr. Peter Belobaba has documented that in non-scheduled cargo operations, deadhead legs can account for up to 45% of total fleet hours, systematically eroding the lucrative margins of the outbound delivery. Site index equals 402. If you are finding this breakdown of hidden logistics costs valuable, please hit the like button and share this video. It helps ensure these forensic financial insights reach more people who want to look past the surface glamour of asset ownership. To truly understand the operational vulnerability, we must look at the engine maintenance reserves. Jet engines are not run until they break. They are governed by strict life-limited parts mandates. Every time an engine starts and stops, it completes a cycle. A turbine blade that costs $15,000 might only be legally certified for 3,000 cycles. This means every single landing costs you money in invisible mechanical wear. If you're not setting aside $300 to $500 per flight hour into a dedicated escrow account for the eventual engine overhaul, known as a major periodic inspection, you are committing financial slow-motion suicide. When that inspection arrives every 4,000 hours, the bill will easily exceed $600,000 per engine. If you do not have the cash ready, your aircraft becomes an expensive paperweight, a static monument to poor balance sheet planning. Let's look at how this plays out in practice. Meet Arthur. He was an ambitious logistics entrepreneur who acquired a small fleet of 3 twin-engine turboprops to service the critical medical isotope market. Isotopes have a half-life measured in hours. They must move immediately or they decay into useless, non-therapeutic fluid. Arthur's business model relied on a steady, seemingly ironclad contract with a regional healthcare network. Here's the trap. He calculated his profitability based on a flawless 100% fleet availability model, completely ignoring the statistical reality of mechanical degradation. When one aircraft suffered an uncontained engine failure during a routine pre-flight check in the middle of a winter storm, his entire operational structure fractured instantly. He did not just lose the immediate revenue from that specific flight. He was hit with a massive contractual penalty for failing to deliver the medical shipment on time, forcing him to subcharter a competitor's plane at an exorbitant premium just to fulfill his legal obligations. Dr. David Simchi-Levy, an MIT researcher specializing in supply chain resilience, notes that in high-velocity logistics, a single operational failure cascades through a balance sheet faster than any marketing campaign can rescue it. Arthur had to burn through 40% of his working capital cushion in less than 60 days just to keep his remaining 2 aircraft airworthy while paying off the performance penalties. He discovered too late that he wasn't being paid for flying. He was being paid to absorb catastrophic operational risk. Let's add another layer to this infrastructure, the pilot compensation crisis. You are competing for talent not just with other cargo operators, but with major commercial airlines that can offer predictable schedules, union-backed job security, and 6-figure signing bonuses. Aviation labor researcher Dr. Martin Dressner has written extensively on the structural shifts in pilot retention, noting that smaller non-scheduled operators are facing unprecedented attrition rates. To keep qualified captains who are certified to fly your specific aircraft under grueling, short-notice night conditions, you cannot pay market average. You must pay a premium. If a captain walks away, your aircraft is grounded until you can find a replacement. Put them through a mandatory simulator training course costing $25,000 and clear them through your insurance underwriter's rigid flight hour requirements. The real financial truth of the private jet courier service is that you are not actually running an aviation business. The aircraft are merely a high-cost, highly temperamental delivery mechanism. The real business you are running is an information and risk management arbitrage. The operators who survive and thrive in this space are not the ones who love airplanes. They are the ones who understand how to hedge asset-liability mismatches. They are the ones who build sophisticated broker networks to fill those empty deadhead legs, turning a $4,500 liability into a break-even flight. They use digital freight matching platforms to capture backhaul cargo, ensuring the plane is earning revenue on the return trip. They understand that the plane is a liability every second it is on the ground, and a profound financial risk every second it is in the air. If you want to see more forensic deep dives into the hidden asset classes and complex financial structures that run the modern economy, make sure to subscribe to Bento Finance. The people who win in this industry are the ones who treat their fleet not as a collection of aircraft, but as a portfolio of volatile options. They price their services with enough margin to absorb the deadhead legs, the engine overhauls, the pilot turnover, and the inevitable regulatory compliance shocks. They do not get seduced by the romance of the midnight flight or the beauty of a sleek corporate jet cutting through the clouds. The next time you see a small unmarked jet lifting off into the night sky, you are not witnessing an act of luxury travel. You are looking at a desperate corporate entity paying a massive premium to outrun time, and a forensic operator on the ground counting the cost of the fuel, the maintenance cycles, the pilot retention reserves, and the empty flight back home.